we have to talk about the Bucs because the Buccaneers are one miraculous Tom Brady comeback away last Monday night from being 5-8. And they've had a couple of these where they get by on the hair of Tom Brady's chinny chin chin and scoot out with a win. And if that doesn't happen, that's a team that could be 4-9. I mean, think about Brady versus the Rams earlier in the season. If Brady doesn't pull off those late-game heroics, that last-minute touchdown pass where the Bucs beat the Rams and then the comeback against the Saints, that's a 4-9 Bucs team. 4-9. I mean, this is 2 Brady miracles away from being 4-9. Instead, they're 6-7, and they're still leading the division miraculously. The reports popped up over the weekend that Brady has kept the door open to play again next year. That he might return to the Buccaneers. He could hit free agency. His contract would be over with the Bucs, but that he is not ruled out coming back next year. And I couldn't sit here and tell you that the reason the Bucs are 6-7 is because of Brady, because as I just said, 2 incredible last-second comebacks, and that's all because of Tom Brady. But I sincerely hope that he does not come back next year, because it's not getting better, it's definitely getting worse. And I worry that now that he's divorced, and now he does not have the nag, and I don't say that as a criticism of Giselle, but just because there's not somebody trying to drag him away from football into home life, that he is going to keep pushing more and more and more to do this, to keep playing. Because what, his 25-year-old model girlfriend's going to tell him, Tom, step away from football? Of course not. Now, all of the say is once again in his favor. Whatever his shots are, he's going to call them. And he shouldn't keep pushing this. Because yesterday was ugly. Yesterday was really ugly. And again, aside from a couple of the dramatic comebacks this season that Brady has authored, it's not great to watch Brady anymore. You know, he overshoots receivers. He skips them into the ground. It's a very disjointed offense oftentimes. Brady doesn't look like he's having much fun. He's getting hit. He's getting deflected. It's just not a good watch to watch the Buccaneers, unless you tune in for the final 2 minutes of the game and the Bucs happen to be within a score. And then suddenly Brady clicks into Superman, and it's all that muscle memory and all of that subconscious. He just knows where to throw it, how to throw it, on tempo, on pace, and then get you down the field. But in terms of a 60-minute game, it's hard to watch Brady games now. And it should be. He's 45 years old. But everything is faltering around him. Everything. Byron Leftwich's offensive game plan is brutal to watch. No creativity. It feels like the teammates are going through the motions. Guys are dropping passes as well. Offensive line isn't very good. The Buccaneers just are not a good football team. And I'm through with thinking that somehow there's Brady magic for another run. This'll end. This'll end prematurely in the playoffs. They'll end up winning the division, but either losing the wild card round or the division round. It's obvious what happens when they go up against a team like that. That's Brock Purdy. But the Niners are so superior to the Buccaneers that they just absolutely dismantle them. And that's the same exact thing that would happen to the playoffs. Exactly. It all came apart. It all came apart. And I think Leftwich has responsibility. Certainly Todd Bowles has responsibility. Certainly Jason Light has responsibility. Certainly Tom Brady has responsibility. Certainly the defense has responsibility. Everybody. But yes, as good as yesterday was for the 49ers, it is also a siren on the Bucs. That's who they are. They're a 500 team, and against a really good squad, are 28 points poor, are 28 points less. That's the difference. That right there is the difference. They're a 500 team, when they play a really good squad, that's how much worse that they are. It's all coming apart, and the Buccaneers, I don't know why Brady would want to keep doing this. His reaction time is slower. He's sloping his shoulders. He's short-arming throws. Why would you want to keep doing this? I don't know why he put that report out. I don't know why. Unless now that the divorce is final, he feels like he got a new lease on life and wants to keep doing this midlife crisis thing, where now he's going to date a supermodel and, wear Bermuda shorts and learn the guitar or something. I don't know why. Why would he put out that report? And his camp has to float that to Ian Rappaport or whoever else to get that out there. That doesn't just come out of nowhere, that he is now open to coming back next season. For what reason? At what cost? Because you don't want to go out like this. You've already pushed the envelope. 45 years old. This has got to be it. Mraz, I saw that story over the week and I said, oh no, he's going to do this thing where, maybe I'll come back. And he's going to try to drive interest in the offseason to another team to see if there's a suitor out there, because, this isn't very fun. And he knows that he can keep playing football because now there's no wife at home saying you got to stop. But that could only end poorly.
Yeah, and honestly, D.A., I don't think he did himself any favors yesterday, because I believe that he was doing that because deep in his heart, I still think he wants to put on a 49er uniform for a year or two. There were the reports about this guy, maybe that was Jimmy G. This all happens on him only going to San Francisco for the second time in his career yesterday. And if that was kind of like the motivation, let me put the feelers out. Maybe San Francisco would be interested. They have questions at quarterback. I watched that game yesterday. I'm sure San Francisco did too. Why would you want Tom Brady playing quarterback for that team next year? That, to me, doesn't make sense. So I'm just hoping that he doesn't sign somewhere else randomly to be basically used to sell season tickets, because it's sad right now.
It is. And he's had a couple of those great moments. Last Monday night was one of those. And as I said, there was a hint of old Montana versus Elway in 94 when Montana was a Chief, and it was like, he can summon up the Magic one last time. But that's kind of where we're at with Tom Brady. It is not consistent. It's not like every week you're wondering, okay, can the Bucs win? You kind of know that if you get any good Brady, it happens once a month, and it happens for 2 minutes. So I think, what's the ultimate potential of this Buccaneers team this year? Is it win the division and then try not to get blown out in the first round of the wild card round?
Yeah, essentially. And the South winner is going to be hosting the Cowboys, basically. Yesterday was firmed up. So can you hope that Mike McCarthy pukes on himself to give us one last magical home playoff game before we get blown out in the second round?
Whose fault is this most in Tampa Bay? Is it Bowles? Is it Brady? Is it the offensive line? Who catches the most flack?
I think it's got to be a combination. Bowles is not a good head coach, but I think it comes out of roster, DA, right? They built a roster really quickly to win a Super Bowl. And yes, while Brady is still there and Evans is still there, they lost 3 interior offensive linemen that nobody wanted to talk about, whether it was due to injury or free agency. Their defense was not going to be the same defense. And again, a lot of injuries there, but some of the guys aged out, JPP, et cetera, and they got rid of them. I think it was just one of those things where they built it really quickly to win. They were able to keep some of their high cap guys, namely Mike Evans. Gronk left as well, but they lost too many pieces. So I think it's a roster thing. And then head coaching-wise, they don't have a head coach that's going to be able to elevate the talent around them and make the right in-game situation calls in tight games, which we've seen this year as well. So I think it's a little bit of everybody with the pieces of the pie. And I think Leftwich, by the way, has been a little bit exposed offensively without that interior line. What is he? What is he at all without Tom Brady?
Exactly right. It's really hard to give any one party all of the blame here because the Buccaneers are a combination of a lot of mistakes. The roster, as you said, was a series of mistakes. If you're going to have 45-year-old Tom Brady, invest everything you have in that offensive line. Everything. And they did not. They left him exposed. Number two, whether it was Brady's call or the front office's call or Bruce Arians' call, whoever, installing Todd Bowles as the head coach clearly was not a better solution than Bruce Arians. Thirdly, for Byron Leftwich, who we talked about getting a head coaching job last year or succeeding Bruce Arians instead of Todd Bowles, Leftwich's game plans have been awful. And Brady himself, Brady should not have come back for this season. And coming off of last year, a 5,000-yard season, great statistically, I could understand wanting to come back and feeling like, you know what, there's still gas left in the tank. But he pushed it too far, and now he's doing it again by floating another rumor that he could come back next year. I would say quit while you're ahead. Brady will always be ahead because of what he has accomplished, but he's playing poorly now, and he should not be playing anymore, and this should be the end of it, and this should be the swan song, and Brady should not be allowing the report to be out there from Ian Rappaport. Oh, he could come back next year. He's open to another free agent deal. That should not happen. Tie things up on a bow and get out of Dodge because this is getting worse and worse. And yesterday when he hits his hand on the helmet or the face mask of one of the 49ers and starts shaking it, and I'm like, this is how it ends, is when an old guy smashes his hand throwing the football against a helmet, and then you break your ring finger or something like that. You can't hold the football. I'm like, what? Why does he keep feeling like he needs to keep playing? It's stupid.
Yeah, I agree. And not only that, DA, I mean, next week they're going to play the Bengals in that late window. We see them versus the Niners here. Because he's Tom Brady, they are still, put in all these like prime spots where they're on TV in front of us every week. I thought the end of Tom Brady was going to be this most enjoyable, I'm going to cackle ride. It's just flat out boring. It's not even enjoyable watching Brady look old and suck.
If you fell asleep after 2.5 hours of football on Monday night, or on, was that Thursday night? Yeah,
that
Monday
was last
night.
Monday night, yeah.
Yeah, Monday night. You would have watched yet another boring, sent you to the snooze factory Bucs game, which is what happens every single week, seemingly, besides those 2-minute drills. And it's just been a season full of that for Tom Brady.